What's going on, guys? I hope you're having a great day out there. Guys, I want to put together a little video here for the 2022 season since we're coming up on the new year and what has been my favorite cars of this season. The 4S, 6S, and 8S cars, what has been my go-tos, what's been the most fun, and what's been holding up the best for me. So we'll start with the 4S cars. All right, guys. Well, I figured we start with the 4S line here. And as you guys know, I've had the Max V2 a little longer, obviously, than the Outcast 4S. These cars have both been a ton of fun. Really like them. The Outcast 4S, we've had these at the motocross track, the skate park. I had an unfortunate, really nasty lawn dart into the concrete with the Outcast 4S and broke the chassis on it and a shock and a few little bits and pieces. When I first got the Max V2, I had a lot of problems with the front knuckles here and the C-hubs and all those things breaking. I upgraded those to the aluminum version from Hot Racing, and that car has been a complete tank. One of the toughest cars I've had. The Outcast I haven't ran as long or had as long. But, out of these two, honestly, for durability and overall bashing, I would definitely pick the Max V2. I mean, this thing can just put up with a crazy amount of punishment and just keep on rolling. Now, if you're talking about jumping stability and handling, definitely the Outcast 4S. It's a little more planted, jumps a little nicer, but depending on what you're doing, if you're just going out there and just wanting to bash and thrash the thing around, guys, you cannot go wrong with the Max V2. So I'm going to say overall out of these two, if I'm going to head to the skate park and want to just beat on the car, I'm going to take the Max V2. So that's my pick of those ones. Now, trying to decide on my favorite 6S or best 6S out of this year is definitely going to be a hard one. Because it's obviously between the Creighton XL, the new build on there, the Traxxas Sledge, or my new Techno. Now, I feel like the Techno kind of falls into its own little category here because it was originally a racer, so we're going to kind of separate that one from the bunch here. All right, so we're going to talk about the Techno here for a moment because this car kind of falls into its own category, honestly. I know it's a 6S. We run this on 6S. It was originally set up for my race car that I never really got to do a lot of racing with. However, come this wintertime, I am going to throw the track tires back on it and run this on 4S, and we're going to have some fun on the indoor track with it. However, due to it's not really set up or originally built as a basher, this thing falls into the 6S basher category because, amazingly enough, it is one of the best 6S bashers I have. I mean, you want to talk about a car that has handling, stability, air control, and just, it flies beautiful. Guys, you cannot go wrong with the Techno ET48 2.0. I mean, as you guys know, I originally had a Tekin system in here and had this thing more built for racing. Ever since burning up my Tekin system, unfortunately, I threw a regular 6S BLX system in here and have been bashing this thing over the summer and hitting a ramp with this thing full speed, and it has just been an amazing rig. I mean, the durability of this thing with the A-arms and the M2C Racing chassis under this thing has just been amazing. Suspension works beautiful. The only downfall I had with this car was because it's not really a basher, it never had a center-to-center, or a tower-to-tower brace. And whenever I hit certain landings, the chassis would flex so much it would pop the center drive shaft out. But a lot of guys were telling me that they made a brace in here that helped support the center, and I finally just ordered one. It'll be here probably in the next week, but it's a full brace that connects from the front here to the center differential case, and it'll help stiffen all that up. So I think this thing's going to get even better for the next season here, and we'll eliminate the only weak spot really on this car, which is having this center drive shaft bend and pop out. So, guys, if you're looking for a fun build and an amazing car, I definitely highly recommend the Techno. I mean, this thing has been, honestly, one of my top favorites, especially for the ramp bashes, because, I mean, this thing just flies amazing. So that's why I kind of wanted to put the Techno in its own little category here, because it is kind of a hybrid of two different cars, sort of, but it is definitely not just a racer. It is an amazing basher. So if you're looking for something new, try one of these out. All right, guys, so I figured we'd talk about the 6S cars now and which one has been my favorite of this summer and the overall just the best basher out of everything I have or built. Now, it's kind of hard to obviously put the Creighton XL, I feel, into this category. They're kind of in a category of its own, honestly. Because, I mean, that car is completely, both of these are completely built, from the ground up. There is nothing out of the box about these. Every single piece has been put together, and it's a hybrid. So I didn't feel it was fair to put that in with these two. Now, obviously, the Italian I've had a little longer than the Sledge, and I have got to run them both a lot. And this summer, I beat the snot out of the Traxxas Sledge, and that car has just been amazing. So, if we're going to go on strictly what has been my ultimate basher in the 6S line this year out of this kind of category, I'm going to again have to give it to the Traxxas Sledge. And I know that might surprise some of you guys because you guys know how much I love the Italian Hoagie here. I mean, this thing flies amazing, it jumps amazing, and in durability-wise, it has been outstanding. I have had a few minor breakages on this thing with some A-arms and bits and pieces, but overall, the Italian is a great car. But any of you guys that have been around the channel for a while knows when I first got this thing, I absolutely hated this car. Because when I first got this thing, this was the first car I ever purchased that I literally hated, and I wanted to take it back or run it over with my truck. I hated the handling of this thing, I hated the control of this thing, and I just was not happy. After doing a few little changes to it and putting a set of the D boots on here and the Hobby Wing Max 6 combo in this thing, and we threw the M2C Racing chassis and braces on here, it completely turned this car around and made it a whole different animal. I mean, the handling, the jumping of this thing has just been outstanding, and would never hesitate to purchase another one of these. It just definitely needs a few little changes, depending on your jumping style and your bashing style, honestly. If you're keeping it a little lower to the ground or doing street bashing with it, out of the box is great. However, if you're trying to do larger jumps in big air, you need a little more air control, and that's where the tires and the different power system definitely comes into play with this car. But overall, the Italian is just an amazing rig. But I cannot fault pretty much anything on this Traxxas Sledge. It needed a few minor tweaks, and obviously mine is far from stock at this point. We got the Basher Queen carbon fiber shock towers on the front and rear. If we can pop the lid off this thing real quick. There's not much of it that is stock anymore. We have the M2C Racing chassis. We have the M2C Racing emulsion shocks. We got the Garage Life RC bumpers. And obviously we changed out the power system. Now, I still have the stock motor in here with the Max 6 ESC, and it completely, I'm loving this combo and this setup on this car. It seems perfect for me, at least how I like running the cars. But, I was hesitant to buy this thing at first, wasn't sure about this whole new, chuggy that, Traxxas put out, and if it was actually going to live up to, the hype and the durability that I was looking for. But, guys, overall, the crashes, the landings, the massive jumps that this thing has taken over this summer at the motocross track and ramp bashes, the durability of this Sledge is just, it's outstanding. Couldn't be happier with the thing. And out of the two, like I said, I have to give it to the Sledge for durability and just being able to take a bash and come home in one piece. Whenever I went out to Ohio to meet up with Kenny from Black Sheep RC and Mike from RC for Us, the Traxxas Sledge was the only car that came home in one piece and still running that day. So, something to be said for that. So, out of these two, would definitely pick the Traxxas Sledge just for overall durability. Again, this is kind of falling into the same thing with the Outcast 4S and the Traxxas Max. As far as handling goes, the Italian definitely flies a little flatter and handles a little better. But durability-wise and being able to just go out there and beat the snot out of it, like I said, guys, the Sledge is where it's at. Now, getting into the Creighton XLs, now these are kind of, like I said, their own beasts of their own. They're custom built, and they don't really fall into the same categories. You can't really compare them directly to another car. But if you're looking for an amazing, stable, great handling, great jumping, and durability-wise, you cannot go wrong. If you want to do a build and if you haven't yet, do a Creighton XL build, guys. And that is obviously a mixture between the Arma Mojave and a Creighton 6S. It's just stretched out Creighton. And, guys, the handling in these things are just outstanding. And, if I'm going to have to take one car with me somewhere and want to go out and do ramp bash or the motocross track, and I had to pick between the XL or either one of these, I'm going to take the XL. But, again, kind of a different animal of its own. But cannot go wrong with a Creighton XL build. We will real quickly kind of talk about a few outliers, like the Arma Mojave and the Arma Infraction. Now, that was originally my Arma Limitless, converted over to an Infraction, and this thing has been an amazing, fun car to take to the skate parks and just go out there and rip around. Now, I'm kind of talking about the Infraction and the Mojave here for one reason, kind of putting them together in a way. Now, obviously, the Infraction is a street car, and it's a blast. Go out there, just rip around, smoke the tires. But you can jump that thing. As you guys have seen in some of my videos, I've aired that thing out, and it takes a punishment. I mean, you can beat the snot out of that thing as a street basher. Now, we're obviously talking about the Mojave in the same category because if you want to talk about an all-around just car that you can beat the snot out of, and I mean just beat on and beat on, the Arma Mojave, now obviously it comes into play because of a lot of the bodies covering it. The same thing goes with the Arma Sentin. You got the Arma Sentin 3S. You got the body that protects a lot of the car, protects the shock towers, protects the tires, the A-arms, and kind of helps keep everything all confined. So you can beat the snot out of these things, and they just keep going. I mean, whenever I met up with Speed Psycho, I mean, this poor thing got thrashed so bad and just kept on rolling. Eventually, I think I broke a shock rod end or something goofy and destroyed the body. However, the Mojave guys, if you're looking for a car that just go out there and rip around the yard, jump it, have fun, and have minimal problems, Mojave's where it's at. The only downfall of a Mojave, or any short course truck for that matter, is the body is its own enemy. For big jumps, there's too much body, too much air gets under it, and it parachutes in the air and it floats around. So as far as a stability car in the air and being able to jump this thing big air, that's not their thing. They don't fly very well. They will float, they will turn upside down, and that's one thing. You can keep them, smaller air, 10 feet in the air, 20, 30, 40 foot jumps, you can kind of get away with. Anything over that, it's going to end up on its dome, most likely landing, because it's going to float in the air, and, it doesn't like big air. Let's just put it that way. But you keep this thing lower to the ground and on the ground, you cannot go wrong with the durability of a Mojave or a Sentin. And, of course, I can't forget about the Typhon. Now, obviously, the Typhon's a buggy. As far as ramp launches, the Typhon 6S is just an amazing rocket. However, on large jumps, you've seen a lot of times they tend to get this weird little twisting, floating effect in the air. But the Typhon's a great basher, but you got to be obviously a little more careful with the landings because everything's exposed, shock towers, shocks, and everything. And when you land us upside down, you are more tendency to break, shocks and towers and stuff like that. But Typhon 6S is a great missile. All right, we're going to talk about the 8S car here real quick. So quickly going over what 8S car has kind of been my favorite of this summer. The X-Max was, a real pain with some changes and stuff I had done to it earlier on. And I kind of resorted back to the stock power system and doing a few other little modifications to it. The X-Max went from pretty much hating it at the beginning of summer to really enjoying and having a ton of fun with this thing. And it has been holding up really well now, and I've been having a great time with the X-Max. Now, if we're talking about going down to the motocross track and wanting to go out there and launch it down there and just beat the snot out of and catching some airtime, the Creighton 8S is going to win it for this year. This car has just been amazing, the fact that the durability on this with some of the launches. Obviously, we're running the M2C Racing chassis on here and center braces. And I'm running the RPM A-arms. Now, I'm usually not a big fan of the RPM A-arms. However, on the 8S rigs, I'm really liking them. They hold up well, and the durability of them is definitely a lot better when you get some of those nastier corner landings and stuff like that. Now, beyond that, the Outcast 8S, that truck has been a total beast. Love that thing. But as far as for stability-wise in the air, on larger air, especially down at the motocross track, overall, between the Outcast or the X-Max, the Creighton 8S definitely takes it because the car flies very nice, flies very true, and the air control on that thing is pretty much perfect. It stays very nice and flat and easy to control in the air. It's not too twitchy. Now, I am running a Hobby Wing Max 5 ESC with the 800 kV motor in there, And in that car, with the weight of it, it seems to be about the perfect power system for that, at least for me, and I'm really digging the car that way. But out of the 8S, overall, the Creighton 8S is going to be my winner. Now, unfortunately, I don't have my other Relarlo with me in hand because it's actually packed up inside my suitcase, which is inside my truck at the moment because I'm getting ready to head to Atlanta for a week, so I'm deciding to take the Relarlo with me to have a little fun on the road. However, a lot of you guys seen the new Relarlo I just did the videos on, and that car has been a blast. And, I have a couple low Cs in the Relarlos, and honestly, that new Relarlo, the X12 is an awesome buggy. It's a longer version of this. It's a little longer, tiny bit wider, but it's fast, jumps nice, and having a ton of fun with that thing. And beyond that, guys, that's pretty much it. Just figured I'd put together a little video. A lot of guys asking what my favorite 6S, 4S, and all that. And I figured I'd throw together a little video here at the end of the season and kind of talk about what has been my favorites of this year. So, pretty much in short, if I'm going to go out and take my favorite 4S basher with me, it's going to be the Traxxas Max. If I'm going to take my overall favorite car to just go out and beat on in launch, and try and catch some big air with, it's going to be the Creighton XL. As far as the 6S line with overall durability and probably the toughest basher, the Traxxas Sledge is going to win that one. And as far as just overall, like I said, it's a class of its own. It's kind of hard to put Techno in the class with anything else. But if you want an amazing build, an amazing handling car, definitely try out and give yourself a build on the Techno ET48 2.0. And favorite Creighton 8S, favorite 8S basher overall this year with the most amount of fun and durability has been the Creighton 8S, and it's just been an amazing car. And I had a ton of fun this year, and it'll be lots more fun to go, guys. And we're going to pick up some new ones coming this season. I got a few other ideas on a few builds we're going to work on. So, if you guys are interested, if you guys first time tuning in, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and I always appreciate all the support. But that is going to do it. I got to get out of here and go to Atlanta for a few days, but I hope you enjoyed it. So until next time, y'all, be safe. Be careful out there. Peace out, everybody.